The turkey sat golden and gleaming on the mahogany dining table, surrounded by sterling silver and crystal that caught the afternoon light. I stood in the doorway between the kitchen and dining room, holding a serving platter, watching the Ashford family take their seats. Sophia, Margaret Ashford's voice cut through the warm chatter like a blade through butter. Set that down and go eat in the kitchen. You know the rules. Her son James smirked from his seat. Yeah, the maid's daughter shouldn't eat at the main table. It's just awkward for everyone. I said nothing. I'd learned years ago that silence was safer than words in this house. I simply placed the platter of roasted vegetables on the table and turned to go. Make sure you clean up after yourself back there, added Vivian, James's wife, not bothering to look up from her phone. Last time you left crumbs everywhere. Their daughter Brittany laughed. Mom, she literally cleans houses for a living. You'd think she'd be better at it. I retreated to the kitchen, where a small plate waited for me at the servants' table, a wobbly wooden thing pushed against the wall. Through the serving window, I could hear them laughing, toasting their blessings, discussing their ski trip to Aspen next month. Thank God Eleanor finally agreed to sell this place, Margaret was saying. Once the paperwork goes through next week, we can finally renovate properly. Starting with replacing all the help. My hand stilled on my fork. Eleanor Whitmore, the 94-year-old owner of the estate, hadn't mentioned selling. Just last week, she'd held my hand and told me not to worry, that everything would work out. About time, James agreed. No offense to Sophia's mother, but we need real professionals. Not some charity case Eleanor took pity on 20 years ago. Where is Maria anyway? Vivian asked. Shouldn't she be serving? I gave her the day off, Margaret replied curtly. We can manage with just the girl for one dinner. The girl. After 5 years of living in the servants' quarters, helping my mother maintain this massive estate, that's all I was to them. The girl. I was contemplating whether I could slip away to my room when the doorbell rang. The deep, resonant chime echoed through the house. Sophia, Margaret called sharply. The door. I wiped my hands and hurried to the entrance. A man in an expensive suit stood on the threshold, briefcase in hand, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else on Thanksgiving. Good evening, he said. I'm Harrison Crawford from Crawford & Associates. I'm here regarding Eleanor Whitmore's estate. My heart sank. So it was true. She was selling. The family is having dinner, I said quietly. Should I? I need to speak with everyone immediately. Including you, Miss Rivera. I blinked. He knew my name? I led him to the dining room, where the conversation stopped abruptly. Who the hell are you? James demanded, standing up. Harrison Crawford, Mrs. Whitmore's attorney. I apologize for the interruption, but I'm here on urgent business regarding the estate. Margaret's face lit up. Oh, you're here about the sale documents? Wonderful. Though couldn't this have waited until? There is no sale, Crawford interrupted. I'm here because Eleanor Whitmore passed away this morning. The silence was deafening. I gripped the doorframe, my legs suddenly weak. Eleanor gone? She'd seemed tired lately, but I never thought. Passed away? Margaret recovered first, her mind clearly calculating. But we had an agreement. She was selling the estate to us. We've been managing it for her for 15 years. Managing? Crawford's eyebrow rose slightly. Interesting choice of words. Nevertheless, I'm here to execute her will as requested. She insisted it be done immediately upon her passing, with all beneficiaries present. Well, that's just us then, James said, gesturing around the table. We're her only family. Crawford's lips twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile. All beneficiaries, Mr. Ashford. Miss Rivera, please join us at the table. Excuse me? Vivian's voice pitched high. The maid's daughter is a beneficiary? Just take a seat at the table, Miss Rivera. I moved mechanically to the dining room, acutely aware of every eye on me. Margaret pointed to a chair at the far end, as far from them as possible while still being at the table. Crawford opened his briefcase and pulled out a sealed envelope. Mrs. Whitmore recorded a video message to accompany the reading. She insisted it be played first. He set up a tablet, and suddenly Eleanor's face filled the screen. She looked tired but determined, her blue eyes still sharp despite her age. If you're watching this, Eleanor's recorded voice began, then I'm gone, and Mr. Crawford is about to share some truths that are long overdue. Margaret shifted uncomfortably in her seat. 15 years ago, Eleanor continued, I hired Margaret Ashford as my estate manager. She came highly recommended, along with her son James as groundskeeper. They promised to help me maintain my family home and treat my staff with respect. The video Eleanor's face hardened. They lied. This is ridiculous, James muttered, but Crawford held up a hand for silence. What the Ashfords don't know, Eleanor went on, is that I've spent the last 5 years documenting everything. Every cruel word. Every degrading comment. Every time they skimmed from the household accounts. Oh yes, Margaret, I know about that too. Margaret's face had gone pale. But this isn't about them. This is about setting right a wrong that's gone on for far too long. Eleanor's eyes seemed to look directly at me through the screen. Sofia Rivera, the young woman you've treated as beneath you, isn't who you think she is. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. 25 years ago, I had a daughter. My only child, Christine. She was brilliant, kind, and stubborn as a mule. When she fell in love with Miguel Rivera, a struggling artist, I did what any foolish, prideful mother would do. I threatened to cut her off if she married him. The room was so quiet, I could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. Christine chose love. She married Miguel, and I let my pride keep me from my daughter for 5 years. By the time I came to my senses, it was too late. Christine and Miguel died in a car accident, leaving behind a 5-year-old daughter. Eleanor's voice cracked on the recording. I was too ashamed to claim her, too proud to admit my mistake. So I did something unforgivable. I hired Maria Rivera, Miguel's sister, as a maid and brought them both to live here, letting everyone believe Sofia was Maria's daughter. I couldn't breathe. The room spun around me. Sofia, Eleanor's voice was gentle now, speaking directly to me. You are my granddaughter, my Christine's baby. And I have been a coward every single day for 20 years, watching you grow up in the servants' quarters, letting these vultures treat you like trash while you serve them dinner. This is insane. Margaret stood up so fast her chair toppled backward. She's lying. This is some kind of sick joke. Crawford pulled out another document. DNA test results, conducted 3 months ago. Sofia Rivera is Eleanor Whitmore's biological granddaughter and sole heir. Sole heir. James's voice cracked. What about us? We've run this place for 15 years. Correction, Crawford said coldly. You've been employees for 15 years. Employees who, according to Mrs. Whitmore's investigators, have been embezzling approximately $50,000 per year. The video continued playing. Eleanor's face was stern now. To the Ashfords, you're fired. You have 48 hours to vacate the property. And don't even think about fighting this. I have enough evidence of your theft to ensure you spend the next decade in prison. As for the estate, Eleanor's expression softened. Everything goes to Sofia. The house, the investments, the art collection, all of it. Current net worth approximately $47 million. $47 million. The number didn't feel real. Maria, Eleanor addressed my aunt, no, my great-aunt, in the video. Thank you for protecting her, for loving her as your own. I've left provisions for you as well. You'll never have to work another day in your life. The video Eleanor looked directly at the camera one last time. Sofia, my darling girl, I know this is a shock. I know you must hate me for letting you live this way. But every kindness you showed, every grace you displayed despite their cruelty, proved what I always knew. You are your mother's daughter. Beautiful, brilliant, and far too good for the likes of them. Can you prove any of this? Margaret demanded, but her voice shook. Crawford smiled, a shark smile. Mrs. Whitmore was quite thorough. Security footage, audio recordings, financial records. She particularly enjoyed recording your dinner conversations through the serving window. The maid's daughter shouldn't eat at the main table, I believe was a favorite phrase of yours. Vivian had started crying. We didn't know. Don't. My voice surprised everyone, including me. 20 years of silence, and suddenly I found my voice. Don't you dare say you didn't know. You knew exactly who you were when you made me eat in the kitchen. You knew exactly who you were when you laughed at my second-hand clothes. You knew exactly who you were when you told your daughter I was good practice for learning how to manage servants. I stood up slowly, my legs steady now. You want to know the ironic part? I would have shared it with you. If you had shown even an ounce of kindness, even a moment of humanity, I would have made sure you were taken care of. Sofia, please. Margaret's mask had finally cracked completely. It was just the way things were. The way things were? I laughed, and it wasn't a pretty sound. The way things were was that you were the help. Employees. Servants. And you treated the owner's granddaughter like garbage because it made you feel important. I turned to Crawford. How long do they have? 48 hours, as stated in the video. Make it 24. You can't do this. James lunged forward, but Crawford stepped between us. Mr. Ashford, I'd advise against any aggressive actions. Mrs. Whitmore's security team is already on the property. As if on cue, the front door opened and 2 security guards entered. One more thing, Crawford added, pulling out his phone. Mrs. Whitmore wanted this text sent to you the moment the will was read. He showed me the screen. Check the library. 3rd shelf, behind the Shakespeare collection. All my love, grandmother. I left them screaming threats and promises in equal measure. Their voices faded as I walked through halls I'd cleaned 1,000 times, past portraits of ancestors I never knew were mine, to the library I'd been allowed to dust but never to read in. Behind the Shakespeare collection was a photo album. The first picture showed a young woman who looked exactly like me, holding a baby. My mother. Me. And there, in her careful handwriting, Christine and Sophia, my greatest treasures. I sank into the leather chair I'd never been allowed to sit in and cried. For Eleanor, who let fear rob us both of 20 years. For my mother, who chose love over money. For the little girl who ate in the kitchen, never knowing she owned the whole house. When I finally emerged, the Ashfords were gone, escorted out by security still clutching their designer bags and car keys to vehicles they'd bought with stolen money. Maria, Aunt Maria, was waiting for me in the entrance hall, tears streaming down her face. You knew? I asked. She nodded. I promised your mother I'd protect you. Eleanor thought this was the best way. You grew up humble, kind, good. Not like. She gestured to the empty dining room where the Ashfords had held court just an hour ago. Sophia. Brittany's voice came from outside. She'd managed to duck the security guards. Sophia, please. We were friends, weren't we? You can't throw us out. Where will we go? I walked to the window and looked out at her. Designer dress, desperate eyes, suddenly seeing me as a person now that I had something she wanted. Where will you go? I repeated. I don't know, Brittany. Maybe you could try the kitchen. I hear that's where charity cases are supposed to eat. I closed the curtains on her shocked face and turned back to Maria. We're going to need a new Thanksgiving turkey. This one's gone cold. She smiled through her tears. I'll warm it up. And set 2 places at the dining room table. 3, I corrected. Call Harrison back. Nobody should eat alone on Thanksgiving. As Maria bustled to the kitchen, I walked back to the dining room. The crystal still sparkled, the silver still gleamed, but the room felt different now. Lighter. Like 20 years of shadows had finally been swept away. I picked up Margaret's fallen chair and set it right. Then I took my seat, not at the far end where they'd pointed, but at the head of the table. Where Eleanor used to sit. Where the owner sat. Where I belonged. The maid's daughter didn't eat at the main table because the maid's daughter never existed. There was only Sophia Whitmore, hiding in plain sight, eating in the kitchen while her inheritance gathered dust and her grandmother's heart broke a little more each day. But secrets, like wine, only get stronger with age. And when they finally spill, they stain everything they touch. The Ashfords thought they were royalty in this house. Turns out, they were just the help with delusions of grandeur. And now they were nothing at all. I raised Eleanor's crystal water glass in a silent toast to the woman who gave me everything, even if she took her time about it. Tomorrow, I'd have to figure out what to do with $47 million and a 20-room estate. Tonight, I just wanted to eat Thanksgiving dinner at my own table, in my own house, finally knowing exactly who I was. The girl from the kitchen was gone. Sophia Whitmore was home. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.